Hi everyone, I am back at it again. I love redesigning. Just look at my channel and it becomes pretty clear. I especially love looking back at my old art and redoing it. It shows my progress both artistically and writing-wise. My current favorite OCs came from that. If you've been watching me since the start of this channel, you might remember my clown OCs I made back in 2022 and never did anything with. For a while I wanted to revisit them, give them names and an actual story, but I had literally no ideas and kept putting that away for later. But recently I watched Interview with a Vampire. It's an amazing show, and season 2 specifically gave me a lot of inspiration and got my gears turning. No spoilers, but if you've seen the show you'll see a lot of similarities, just being straight up. But with that out of the way, let's just get into it. So, like I mentioned, I made these characters in 2022. If I remember correctly, they started as pose practices, and I was going to give them names at the very least, but that never happened. Their designs also aren't my favorite. They're not bad, but I can definitely do much better now. Now, these guys are a part of a traveling circus of vampires.
Start digging in your butt.
They travel all around the world, perform for locals, and eat some of them after each show. They drink their blood to gain knowledge, life energy, and to feed, obviously. The troupe slowly formed over centuries. Each of them are creatives that couldn't make it big, but they came together to make their dreams come true. They are pretty much a family now. They always look out for each other, though they still bicker and argue sometimes. Their circus is called the Twisted Twilight Troupe. It's horror-themed and is exclusively for adults. It's not worldwide famous, but it attracts enough curious people to stay afloat. Each troupe member has their own act in the performance and role in running the circus. Outside of performing, the members try to stay low. That's about it for the premise. Now let's get to the actual characters. First up is this lady. Her design is not bad. I would say it's one of the better designs from this. I changed her quite a bit though. One thing I kept is the color scheme. I like that I gave each character their own combination of colors, so for the most part they stay the same. The new character is Allora Fernandez, stage name Knickknack, as a reference to knockers. I'm a genius, I know. And because she likes little knickknacks. Allora is the boss, she's the one running this whole thing, she's the one who started it too. Allora is also the second oldest in the cast. Physically, she's in her 30s, and mentally, she's hundreds of years old. No one knows how many exactly because a lady never reveals her age. Most of the cast members don't know when, how, and who turned her into a vampire. She avoids the topic. Before the circus, Allora was a burlesque dancer. Not a very successful one though. After getting turned, she dedicated her life to performing. Her mind powers definitely helped in that. She can read minds as well as control them. That skill took years and years to master, but now she can use it easily. It really comes in handy when it's time to feed. As the boss, Allora is strict but understanding. She's definitely the mother figure of the troupe. Off stage, she spends most of her time counting the money they earned, planning the next performances, and going to beautiful but isolated places. She doesn't like humans and prefers being alone or in the company of other vampires.
I can be around people now, I hate it, but I can do it without vomiting.
Allora dominates the performances as well. The order of acts changes a lot, but Knickknack is always the opening act. She comes down on the stage from the ceiling, sitting on her swing, looking beautiful. Then she welcomes the audience, introduces their circus, and warns everyone that what they'll see is definitely fake and just a performance. She always gives a burlesque performance. There's a lot of teasing, dancing, and Knick-Knack's favorite part is taking off her glove and throwing it into the audience. Whoever catches it thinks they're lucky, but it's actually quite the opposite. This is Allora's way of marking her prey. She also introduces each act. In between them she jokes around, making sly innuendos. And behind the scenes she makes sure everyone is doing their job right and reads the audience's minds to make sure they're enjoying the performance. I love her so much! As you can see, I also drew a poster for her. I did it with every character and I tried to match the posters to their personalities. Knick-Knack's poster is the most detailed. I'm really happy with the shading on it. I'm also really happy with the new design. I took inspiration from burlesque and ringmaster costumes. It's basically a mix of the two. Next up is this girl. I remember really loving this design, but it really isn't all that. I just slapped a frog hat on her because I had one like that at the time, and I didn't know what to do for the rest of the outfit, so I just gave her a patterned bodysuit. She's also a contortionist, which is cool. The new character is Penny Barnett, stage name Cheeky. Physically she's 18, mentally in her 30s. She got turned in the early 2000s by Allora. Penny spent most of her mortal life in an orphanage. Her parents passed away when she was very young, and when she turned 18 she had to leave the orphanage. Penny got a part-time job that she absolutely hated to stay afloat, and in her free time tried doing stand-up comedy, but she wasn't very successful at that. Then she got fired, couldn't afford her apartment, and became homeless. That was a very difficult time in her life. She was really struggling to fix the situation. On a rainy day, Allora finds her in a cafe, at an empty table, visibly exhausted. At first, Allora thinks of Penny as an easy prey, but then they start talking, and over the course of the conversation, Allora starts to feel bad for this girl, which never happens. So Allora gives her some money instead and quickly leaves. Next time they meet is at a stand-up show. Penny performs, the audience is uninterested, but Allora is almost hypnotized. She can smell the passion in Penny's blood, the same passion that she has for the stage, and that's when she decides to recruit Penny into her circus. After getting turned, Penny became a lot more confident. The vampire gift also made her already existing talent a lot stronger. Penny is really mischievous, a bit stubborn, and loves getting on other people's nerves. Offstage she likes to draw, listen to music, and write jokes. Allora doesn't let Penny go out alone because she can be very impulsive and blow their cover, so it's good for someone else to be there to keep her in check.
This is my vacation, my week without the 7D. This is not happening.
Cheeky is a contortionist that also jokes around and roasts the audience. Originally, the roasting wasn't part of her act. At first, she was just showing off her flexibility and cracking jokes in between. But during one of the performances, someone in the audience stood up and started yelling, calling the performance boring and insulting the whole troupe. In response to that, Cheeky couldn't hold her tongue and started insulting the heckler back. She read that person to filth, insulted them from head to toe, and she did it in such a clever and witty way that the audience erupted in laughter. They absolutely loved it. There were other people standing up and asking to be roasted next. Penny panicked a little at first, as this wasn't planned at all, but quickly calmed down and kept going with the performance. After this, the roasting officially became part of Cheeky's act. She does tricks to show her flexibility, all while roasting the audience members. During her act, there are a lot of hecklers interrupting the performance to get roasted next. It comes off as funny, but for Penny it's her way of choosing her victim. Whoever is the loudest becomes her dinner. Unfortunately, I had to get rid of the frog theme from the old design. I just couldn't make a clown design around it. I did add a little frog on her sweater as a nod to it though. And I love her posters so freaking much. I went for a more cartoony, vintage style for it, more simplified shapes, bright colors. This might be my favorite poster out of all of these, and I just love how much more interesting she looks now. Next on the chopping block is this character. I think this design is the best out of all of these. He has a more edgy look going on, he's a puppet, and on the actual sketchbook page I made his arms articulated and even added thread to them and a cross so it's kind of like an actual puppet. And I actually used this character for a draw this in your style one time. I remember that was very fun. His new name is Rai Kunihiko. On the stage he's known as Sorro. I wanted to really crank up his edgy aesthetic. The biggest change are tattoos all over his body. I originally was going to make them really detailed, but I quickly gave up and just scribbled all over his body instead. It's convincing enough. Rai is a failed poet. He got turned back in the 70s when he was physically 24. In the 90s he was found by the Circus when they were performing in Japan. The cast at the time was attending a book reading, and when it was Rai's turn they were enamored by his passion. Everyone else attending were uninterested. They just couldn't appreciate Rai's work. So after some time he got recruited as well. He's a little older mentally, so his special power has already shown itself. He can feel other people's emotions and even control them if he really focuses. He could use some practice though.
That was not my doing. I offered a quick, painless death.
Sorro's act is acting as a puppet while reading said poems. I imagine it's somewhat similar to performances in Interview with a Vampire, a big screen with animations in the back, and Sorro interacts with them. He likes to choose a specific audience member that's not paying attention and focus his power on them, manipulate their emotions until they get overwhelmed, and then after the show they become his prey. Backstage he makes sure everyone is following the script and lets Allora know how the audience is feeling about the performance. He's also the one writing the script, and he helps others with their makeup. He still likes to attend book readings, but usually the writers there don't satisfy him. Sorro's poster is really fighting with Cheeky to be my favorite. I love both so much that I just can't choose. I went for a paper puppet look. It's not perfectly realistic, but I still love the result. This was also super experimental for me in terms of coloring. I used watercolor and pencil brushes, and I never used them. Love this. Next up is this character. He does aerial silks. I hope that's the right term. His design is quite simple again, just a pattern bodysuit. I like his hairstyle, but I didn't keep it. I changed him pretty drastically. His new name is Cedric Duret. On stage he's known as Sparky. He was an amateur fashion designer, but none of his works brought him any success. When he was in his late 30s, he got turned into a vampire by a hookup. It's been about 100 years since then. Cedric met the troupe in a club. Allora approached him. They started talking, and the conversation just flowed so easily, like they've been friends for centuries. So Allora recruited him pretty easily. She promised him success, as well as complete freedom of expression. Now he makes costumes for all the members and helps with props and posters. He really enjoys it, though he's also very picky and wants things done his way. At the start he butted heads with the others a lot because he wanted the costumes to look one way, but the others didn't like them and wanted to add their own input, and there was a lot of tension because of that. But over the years they found a good middle ground. Cedric adds personal touches from each member to match their personalities, but also keeps it fancy. Other than that, he's really nice. You just have to be around him for a while to get used to his perfectionism.
Well, this suit is ruined. Let's make a good first impression, shall we?
On stage, Sparky's act is fire tricks. From fire eating to fire dancing and even lighting up the stage. His special power really comes in handy here. He can set things on fire with his mind. He also adds fire to the other acts for better effect. He does everything very elegantly. He marks his prey by choosing the audience member with the ugliest outfit, a ridiculous hat, a jacket that doesn't match the rest of the look. He sets it on fire as a magic trick, just a little bit though, not enough to cause real damage. And yes, I decided to change his axe from aerial silks to fire tricks, mostly because the silks didn't really give me any inspiration. I thought fire tricks would fit a vampire clown better. Like I mentioned, he's responsible for the costumes, he designs them, makes them, and repairs them when needed. Offstage, Cedric likes to visit clubs and fashion shows. At clubs, he finds men to let off some steam with and then eats them. At fashion shows, he hopes to find inspiration, but usually he's not impressed. He's very, very picky. He still wants to pursue fashion design along with performing, so he works on that a lot too. His poster is supposed to look a little vintage again. I like it a lot. I really focus on the line art and the shadows. From here, the posters are kind of meh, to be honest. Moving on to this character, he's a pink cowboy. That's about it. He also has literally the exact same face as these two. My same face syndrome was pretty bad back then. I had maybe 4 faces I could draw, so I changed them a lot. New character is Morgan Graves, stage name Junior. It refers to him being the youngest vampire in the troupe, even though he's the oldest physically. He got turned just a couple years ago. Morgan is the sweetheart of the group. He's the only one that doesn't feel comfortable eating humans, so he tries to stick to animals. He tries to make the others do the same. He makes dishes for them that use animal blood. The members like them, but they don't fully satisfy their hunger. Design-wise, the first thing I did is make him fat. It's been pointed out to me that I don't have a lot of fat male characters that are important, so I'm fixing that. His face was also very out of my comfort zone, but I love how he turned out. He looks very sweet. I also gave him a thick mustache that covers his whole mouth. I imagine when he talks it moves and emotes in place of the mouth. I really like that for some reason. Morgan loves music. Before getting turned, he was a struggling street performer. He enjoys doing it, but he wasn't making enough money to support himself. When the troupe found him, they could smell his passion, and they knew they needed him. It took him a while to get used to being a vampire. He still has existential moments sometimes.
Ah, there you are. I wondered where you'd scurried off to.
Junior is the strongest member of the troupe. On stage, he lifts impossibly heavy things, including all the members at the same time as the grand finale. He also helps move props and other equipment. It is partially his vampire power, but he's also just really physically strong as it is. He comes from a big family and has a lot of younger siblings, so he had to do a lot of physical labor to take care of everyone. He does visit them sometimes, but it's too much of a risk. He found a new family in the troupe. He's definitely the closest with Penny as the 2 youngest vampires. They are pretty much siblings, though Morgan sometimes forgets that Penny isn't a little kid. Mentally, she's not very far from him. In fact, she might be more of an adult because of everything she went through. She had to grow up very fast. Morgan also writes all the music for the circus. He's really good at matching each track to the members' personalities and acts. The music is a huge part of the performance. It helps with the atmosphere and puts the audience in the right mood. So this job is very important and Morgan takes it very seriously. That's about all I have for him. I like the new design a lot, but plot-wise I don't have a lot of ideas, and his poster is kinda meh. I tried to make it kind of cartoony, but didn't really know what to do for the background, so in the end, it's not my favorite. I'm probably going to redo it someday. And lastly, we got this character. They aren't actually part of the original cast. This character was kind of separated, but I decided to include them here because why not? I drew this character the most out of all my clowns. I've drawn them in different outfits. I think I've made TikToks with them, but those are old and I might have deleted them. And I think the design isn't bad, but I changed it quite a bit. The new character is Mona Hines, or Masque. I went in a much creepier direction here. Mona is the oldest vampire in the troupe. She's about 500 years old. She always wears a porcelain mask to hide her heavily scarred and disfigured face. It happened when she was still human. Her family didn't accept her and harmed her. Mona is mute and uses sign language to communicate. She made the signs herself over the years, and the others learned them as well. As a person, she's really off-putting. Even the cast members get creeped out by her sometimes, despite knowing her for years. But she means well. She loves the troupe deeply and will do anything to protect them. Out of everyone, she is probably the most ruthless when it comes to feeding. The others usually do it fast. Mona likes to prolong it, to take her time. She might even kill multiple humans at one time. It's a good way for her to let out her emotions. Allora found her at an art show. Mona is really passionate about painting. Her style is very abstract. She uses a lot of contrast and intense colors to express her emotions. Almost none of the visitors paid any attention though. To them, the paintings looked messy and incomprehensible, and Mona herself looked strange. But it really touched Allora, and Mona became the second member of the troupe. The two of them are very close. Mona is the only one who knows about how Allora got turned. They really connected about their turning, as it happened under traumatic circumstances for both of them. Masque is always the final act in a performance. Her special power is time manipulation. She can slow it down, or even stop it completely, and she uses it in her act. She does some magic tricks, most of which are really dangerous. She teleports to the audience. She actually just stops time and walks up to them. I also imagine she moves in an uncanny way, where just her movements alone creep you out. Her final trick is the Wheel of Fortune. She is strapped to the wheel. Cedric comes out with a handful of really sharp knives. He cracks some jokes, demonstrates that the knives are very sharp. Maybe he takes a piece of fabric and cuts it. And then he throws the knives at Mona one by one. He has a very good eye, so he throws them just close enough to Mona to freak out the audience. Then, when Cedric gets to the last knife, the wheel starts spinning and he puts on a blindfold. At this point, the audience is gasping and whispering. Cedric makes another playful comment, aims and throws the last knife directly into Mona's chest. Everyone is shocked. Not sure if this is part of the performance or they just witnessed something horrific. Then, moments later, Cedric unties Mona and she pulls the knife out of her chest. The audience cheers, Sparky and Masque bow, the lights turn off, and the performance is over. Due to her age, Mona heals very fast and is used to pain, so that really helps here. But she can't heal the scars she got as a human, unfortunately. That's about it for Mona. I love the new design, though it is very, very different from the old one. That's pretty much a brand new character. The poster is fine. It was the last one I drew and I was losing steam at that point. I like the color scheme though, but this was the last character. This was definitely a challenge for me. I had the basic idea, but expanding each character took me a while. This is probably the longest it's taking me to write a script, but I'm pretty pleased with what I got so far. The foundation is there, but as usual, I am open to ideas, so if you have any, feel free to leave them in the comments. I like the new designs so much more. The old ones weren't horrible, but it's clear that I didn't put much thought into them, not to mention half of them having the same exact face. It was also very fun to do both in and out of character designs. Some of these were a bit out of my comfort zone as well, which is always interesting. Hopefully I will keep drawing them and they won't fall into obscurity like last time. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any more ideas. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. Check out my other socials. They'll be on the screen and in the description. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!